Hello everyone. So let's start this event. So it's 6:30 and most of the people have joined. So I think we should begin. So first of all, I would like to start by saying a big shout out to everyone present here. Yeah. So a big shout out to everyone here. Happy Raksha Bandhan, and I hope you're having a marvelous Sunday. We thank you for coming here and attending this event. I'm Kabir Jaising from Inspiring Stories, and I'm here to anchor today's event. So, Inspiring Stories is an educative platform to promote SDG Goal 4, which is quality education. Here at Inspiring Stories, you will meet and greet different dedicated professions and experts to get you inspired and help you decide what do you want to pursue. Before I begin, I like to ask everyone who here can switch on their camera. It will be great if you can do that, and then we can begin with this event. So please try to switch on your camera if you can. Thank you so much for those who switched on their cameras. So let's start. Let's get started with this event. As I said, we get to know what do you want to pursue through this series of different meet and greet with professionals. So these last few months have been really festive for us Indians. We've had celebrated our 75th Independence Day, and all of our dedicated, passionate, and inspiring sportsmen also got quite a few medals for India in the Olympics. And we have the T20 World Cup coming ahead of us too. So let's feel proud of India. So I think there's enough of talking now. Let's get started with Inspiring Stories' second event. This is a really interesting event coming up. And as it is said, first is the best, and second is the golden chest. So let's see who is waiting for us in the golden chest.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. My name is Ranveer. On behalf of Qatar Airways and the entire crew, I'd like to welcome you on board this 777 aircraft, flight QR556 to Mumbai. Besides me here in the flight deck is Senior First Officer Captain Kabir, and looking after your safety and comfort in the cabin today is your CSD, Miss Pooja, and her award-winning team. Our flight time today will be 3 hours and cruising at an altitude of 36,000 feet. We are expecting a smooth flight today for most part of the flight. However, there's always a possibility of encountering some light turbulence on this route, so it would be advisable to have your seat belts fastened at all times, even when the seatbelt signs are switched off. Before we commence our descent into Mumbai, I will update you with the latest weather and arrival information. Until then, please make yourself comfortable and enjoy our world-class service. I wish you a very pleasant journey on board this Qatar Airways flight. Thank you.
Well, that looked like an important announcement. Please give a warm welcome to Captain Ranveer, a smart, enthusiastic, and inspiring pilot with his career spanning over for 23 years with an experience of 12,000 flying hours across 30 countries. Captain Ranveer, I would like you to introduce yourself and say a few words to kickstart this event. Or I should say, let's turn on the ignition switch for the swift ride with our captain.
Thank you, Kabir, so much for having me. And hi to all of y'all. My name is Captain Ranveer, and I'm born and brought up, raised in Mumbai, but now living in Qatar, Doha, and flying for Qatar Airways right now for the last 6.5 years over here with Qatar. And before that, I was flying back home, started off my career with Air Deccan, then moved on to Kingfisher Airlines, which closed down eventually, and then moved on to Indigo. And then I joined over here. So it's been, I started off in around 2003 and flying the Airbus 320.
So thank you so much, sir, for introducing yourself and coming here. This means a lot to this initiative. So before we start this event, I would like to ask all the audience here to please put it in the chat. What does a pilot do? And if any of us here are aspiring pilots or who want to take it up as a career, please put it in the chat. It would be great to hear. Yes, that's correct. A pilot does fly an aeroplane. Does anyone? Oh, Disha here wants to become a pilot.
Oh,
Uh,
wow, that's nice. Mhm.
so yes, I think all of us are very interested in this career. So, as everyone here mentioned, a pilot is the person who operates the aircraft and the flying controls. A pilot is responsible for pre-flight inspections, taking off, flying, and landing. There are two pilots in a cockpit. The captain, who is accompanied with the co-pilot, also known as the first officer, and a pilot or the captain has the main authority on the aircraft, and the co-pilot, the first officer, is trained and qualified to handle the plane in case of emergency or give the captain a break. Am I correct, sir?
You are right about it. You have your facts right over there. So the captain of the flight has the entire responsibility for the entire plane, and the first officer also can fly the plane the same way as we do. And but the entire responsibility is with the captain of the flight.
Yes. So I think let's begin with our question. And I would like to say the audience will also get a chance to ask Captain Ranveer questions in the middle and at the end of the event. Please, I would request everyone to switch on their cameras. It would really help. Please switch on your cameras. Okay. So before we begin with our questions, sir, I would just like to ask you, um, can you please explain to us some important aspects of control panels in the cockpit, like the navigation, the altitude, the weather, and the distance? I have two pictures here, so if you can help us understand it.
Yeah, it looks quite clear over here. The throttle is, of course, for the power, what we get from the engines of the plane. So that's what that is used for. But the plane, of course, flies with the help of the wings. That's what we need for the plane to lift off and fly. The control wheel is basically when we're flying the plane, just to turn the plane to the left and right to bank the plane. That's what they call it. And the displays that you have in front of you, the primary flight display is basically for your altitude, your speed, the heading, and the other display on the right hand side of it is for your navigation, which gives you the route of the flight, it gives you the wind, and it gives you the track that you're flying.
Right, sir.
And the controls on top, which you have navigation controls, that's what we use to fly the plane, to turn the plane, to climb, descend, and also the autopilot is also a part of that. So most of the time we make use of that in cruise. It's only the takeoff and when we land is when we are flying the plane by ourselves. Weather, as you see, it is also on the navigation display, which is the inboard display, the black one, and you can see some red dots on it over there. So that's the sign you don't want to go too close to those cells over there. That's where the storms are, where the red cells are. And for the system information is giving you all the indications for things like your fuel, your air system, your gear, and like for the brakes also things like that, and all the information you need to know. And if you see below the throttle are two computers on the side, which I don't think is marked, but it's there with some keyboard kind of thing over there. So those are basically, we feed in the entire route over there, and then it shows it to us on the display. That's what it is, you know. And we have brakes also, which you can see on the floor of the below the control wheel, and what you marked it as rudder, brake pedals, and the footrest over there.
Yes.
So to steer the plane on the ground, we can use that too. And the brakes are on top of the pedal, so we can press those. So that's for the brakes. So that's about it, I think, for the systems and all, you know, the basic system. And you can see it on my side also. I have the plane which I'm flying at the back here, so it's kind of the same, yeah? Over
Yes.
there in the poster behind me.
Thank you so much, sir, for explaining us. So I think now I would like to start by asking you some questions.
Sure.
So my first question to you, which is I think a rather interesting one, is what made you become a pilot and take up this career? Was there any particular reason?
Yeah, there was a reason. Both my mom and dad were part of this field also. My dad was flying for Air India. He was a cabin crew over there. So, and my mom also was flying for them for about 5.5 years, I think. Yeah. And my dad flew with them for 31 years over there. So we got a chance in those days. It was quite easy to access the flight deck, you know. So when I used to fly with my dad, we could go and sit in the flight deck for the takeoff and landings. In those days, the rules were not so strict, and they used to let even, like, you know, kids and friends and everybody else come and sit over there in the flight deck. So I got a chance a few times to go and sit and watch the takeoff and landings, and it just inspired me a lot, basically, you know, to take up this field. Uh, so right from the time I was in school, I was keen on doing this, and that's what made me take up this field. And I have a few uncles also who were flying in this field, so you know, so I look up to them also, and that's why we are now.
Oh wow, so this looks like your whole family, most of your whole family has been in this career.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes, so that's really interesting, and you have taken it up as well.
Right.
So, if you were not a pilot, what would you be now? What do you think you would be now if you had not taken up that career?
Yeah.
Doctor for sure, I think. Doctor for sure. That was my second option, I think I would say. You know, I was keen on becoming a doctor.
Right.
So, but I was more keen on flying. Uh,
Yes, sir. That's
And you don't need to call me sir, Veer, please.
yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, Captain Ranveer, can you please share with us what are the do's and don'ts while flying an aircraft? And I've also heard, I don't know if it's a rumor, but eyesight plays a key role. If you've got glasses, you'll not be able to fly a plane.
That is not true. That is not true. Eyesight, they do check your eyesight, but up to some amount is acceptable now. So it's okay. In the good old days, they wanted you to have 6 by 6, but these days, with the laser technology, you don't really need to have a 6 by 6 on the eyesight. You know, so you could even go down to 5 by 6 also. I think would be fine. You know? So this is not true that if you have specs, you can't take up the VR.
Yeah.
And for the do's and don'ts of flying, there are a lot of do's and don'ts, of course. You know, um, discipline is very important, I think, you know, in this field because of the timing sometimes, you know, of the timing of the flights that you're doing. So it's important to be disciplined, you know, in this field. And also your health also plays a big role in this field. You know, you got to keep good health. So those are a few things, you know, which you need to do, yeah, and take care of.
Yes, sir. That's totally correct. You need to be very disciplined in the field because the whole plane or the whole passengers behind is totally your responsibility.
Correct. Yeah, that's true.
Yes, so I understand that you must have traveled like around the globe in your flying career. So we wish to know that which country appeals the most to you, which country have you loved the most in your whole flying career?
In the entire flying career, I think it would be Japan. Would be a country which will, I mean, it appeals to me at least, because the people over there are so nice. It is a very disciplined place, I would say, and it's something special over there. I think when you go there, if you've been there, or I mean, whoever's been there from this group over here right now, they would know what I'm saying. My kids too have been there, and that's one place which they say that they would like to go back to. So that's a place I think which one should go and see the place because it is really nice, Japan, and plus there is a lot to see and do over there too, and the food is good, people are nice over there, and it's a nice place.
Oh wow, so Japan appeals to you the most. That's really
Yes.
interesting to
Mhm.
know. I've heard that in long flights, do you have to be in the cockpit the whole time? Because in long flights, you do need some rest. So, my question also leads to if there's any rest time while flying in long distances.
Yeah, so for a long flight, say if we are flying, say from here to the US, if the flight is more than like about 10 or 12 hours, so they send two sets of crew for that flight. So you will have A crew and a B crew. So there'll be one crew which will fly you in and one crew flies you back, who will do the takeoff and landing. And so you split the time between the two crew. So the time is split between the two crews. So you do get rest on that flight. So say for about 5 or 6 hours, you will get to rest on the flight, and the B crew will be flying the plane when you have gone for your rest. So it's a set of two crew for those flights.
Oh,
But about 9 or 10 hours flight, it will still be only one set of crew.
yeah. There are two crews, you said, right? So, in each crew, there are two pilots, right? A captain and a first officer.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There'll be two sets. Yeah. Two captains and two first officers.
So, and in the plane, where do you rest? Is there any rest area? Because
Yeah, this is something which you all don't see. It's called the bunk area actually for us. So it's actually on top of your seats, the bunk, and it's a special room which is being made over there. So for the captain and first officer, there are like two seats over there and two beds over there in the small room. Cabin crew have their bunk right at the aft of the plane, right at the back of the aircraft. Ours is in front. But for them, they have about 6 to 8 beds for them, so they take turns and they can rest over there. So there are a few steps going up, and there's a small door which, because you all don't know what's there at the back of that door, but the door is there, and you just go inside and you climb a few steps, and it's like a small room and lounge over there for us over there. Yeah. And some of them do have like I mean screens for us to watch also, so you can spend time over there and just watch something else.
oh, wow, so I
So it's
really
quite
didn't know that the plane had that to a resting area.
yeah, they do have. Mhm.
That's so interesting to know. So being a pilot means traveling in different time zones and also staying up for long hours in the night and during the day. So how does that affect your health? For example, so you have a really early morning flight, like at 3 a.m. So won't that affect your sleep pattern? So um how does that?
Yeah, so it's like you have to plan your rest out. It is a little bit tough for those who don't get sleep fast. I mean, who will take more time, to go to bed. But you have to try and get used to the lifestyle like that and adjust to the time zones also, because you're crossing a whole lot of zones, and especially on the longer flights when you're going, like, say, to the US or to the east also. So you have to adjust your, I mean, sleep. accordingly. Like tomorrow, I'm flying at 7:20, but I'll have to be up around 3 o'clock. So I have to plan my sleep accordingly, so that I can rest for the flight and then go. And it depends if you're flying like a four-man crew. There are times when you might not be flying first, so you might not want to sleep and go for the flight. You might want to go on board and then rest over there on the flight. So you have to plan it out accordingly. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So planning is important to
Yeah.
um, be able to adapt to the time zones.
Yeah, you have to be able to adapt, and there are times when you have to force yourself to sleep also, because you must rest and go for the flight. So that's what you have to do sometimes.
Yes, sir. Yes, because rest plays a key role.
Oh yeah, that is a key role, especially if you're just doing a two-man flight. Then, and if the flight is long, and at times the flight they start around like 2 o'clock in the morning, and things like that. So you have to rest and go for the flight. You have to be fresh, for the flight.
Right, sir. That's totally correct. So, has there been any situation where you have experienced consecutive flights like without a break? Suppose you have a flight today and then you have a flight tomorrow without any break, a consecutive.
No, the break will be there. They have to give you your rest period before the next flight. So there are rules in place for that. So there is a full team who looks, to that, and they look into it and see that and make sure that you have the rest for the next flight also. But yeah, there are times when the rest might be even like maybe 12 hours and you might go for the next flight. But it is rare actually that it's done like that. They usually try and give you a day off at least, for the next flight. And especially if you have done a long flight and come back, then of course the rest will be more. So in fact, there's a entire science to it actually. So there's a full team which looks into all this, for the rest period.
Yes, sir. So I understand you get a roster before every month, right? To understand.
We get the roster around over here. We get it around the 23rd of the month. So we know what we are doing for the entire month for the next month.
Yes, because you need to understand also how many flights you have that month and
Right.
when.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, do you think we should open up to the audience for any questions?
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah. Why
So,
not?
audience, if you have any questions, please raise your virtual hand up. I will take each and every question, and we will also have one more round of you all asking questions at the end of the event. So, you can ask it anytime. So, yes, Abhimanyu. Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna unmute you. Yes.
Hello, Mr. Captain Ranveer.
So,
Ranveer,
Abhimanyu,
good evening.
good
So
evening.
I am Abhimanyu Nair, and I'm in Mumbai, and I want to ask you some one question for you.
Sure.
I'll ask, what was the most scariest time or situation you encouraged while flying?
I would say that was in my flying school, actually. So I was with a friend of mine in the flying school when I had gone to the US to do my flying course. At that time, we had an incident where these small planes, they have like a hood, on top of them, which close once you sit over there in the plane. You close the hood. So as soon as we took off, the hood just flew off. It just snapped and broke. So, but my friend who was flying the plane at that point of time, somehow he managed to fly. I mean, to turn the plane around and come back at land, at that field. So that was a little bit of a scare, because I mean, that hood can hit the tail, and if the tail breaks off, of course the plane can crash. So our luck was good that the hood flew off and it just went off over there on the side. But it was a small plane, and we were able to land it. But those small planes, I mean, there was a golf course straight out also. So you can land those small planes in like field also. It's okay, like so. But yeah, that was a little bit of a scare for us over there.
Yes, so that looks like scary. So at that point of time, were you in the cockpit or it was
I
your?
was in over there with him. Yeah, that was just a small plane, so that has only two seats over there in that plane. So those are the type of planes in which you train and you learn how to fly. You know?
Captain?
Yeah. Hmm.
So custom. I guess you have a question. I'm just gonna.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Uh, my name is Kaustubh and I currently live in Abu Dhabi. And my main question is that in every field, there's like artificial intelligence. Like the human work is getting replaced by robots, machines. Do you think the aviation field will also be like severely affected by artificial intelligence, and will it reduce the probability of getting a job like in aviation field in future?
Okay, hi. So, yeah, that's a good question you have over there. I think it is going to take a little bit time for that. I don't think it will happen so soon because to handle the traffic, yeah, they are. I mean, like drones and things like that now, which have come up, which they just do it from the ground, control it from the ground. But eventually, yeah, maybe 30, 40 years down the road, it might happen for sure. I think. But right now, I don't see it happening. Maybe from like a two-man crew, they might come down to maybe just one person over there in the flight deck. But that also will take a while, I think. Don't think it's going to happen so soon. Human interface because of the passengers on board and things like that to deal with them and to handle their issues. So that's where they need us still, I think, to take care of these things.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for that question, Kastho. I think we'll stop with the questions. We'll have one more round at the end. So those of you who have raised your hands, I'm sorry, but we'll take the questions again after at the end of the event. I have a few more questions to you. So, do you feel people are taking flying as their career more than before? Are there more avenues and opportunities now, or they were more when you started? And how wide is the scope for aspiring pilots today?
Yeah, the opportunities are there. Of course, in the last 2 years, things have slowed down a bit, of course. But that's, I mean, throughout the world, things have become a little bit slow. But for aspiring pilots, it is a good field to pick up. You know, there is still scope for it. Sometimes, yes, it can be a little bit tough to find a job, but eventually, mostly, if you are good at it, and if you're at it, I mean, you can find a job for yourself. No? So I think the opportunities are there still. Uh, a lot of jobs are coming up right now again, but usually in the aviation field, it is like a sine wave. So the ups and downs are there always, because a lot of external factors affect us also. So, but it's a good field, I think, for kids to join. We have had like a whole bunch of kids. They come and they want to see the flight deck, and then it's like wow, and and a few of them do. I mean, they still go ahead and they become pilots. So I think the opportunities are there. Um, it's just how and the timing should be right, I think. That's what I think.
Yes, so thank you so much for answering the question. So my next question to you is what professional courses are available now to become a pilot? So how many years did you have to study and how certified did you have to be to become a pilot?
Okay, so the first thing if you want to become a pilot is you need to check your health, of course. So the medical is the main thing that you need to do. That's the first step if a person wants. So you need to check. So I mean, you're checked right from head to toe, in terms of your eyesight, in terms of, whether you can hear properly and, and physically also. So that's the first step. And then if you want to do your flying course, the options are there. I mean, throughout the world you can go. I mean, places like US or Spain and places like Greece also have courses right now. So, but I did my flying course in the US. Usually it takes about a year to get your commercial pilot license. So that's what I did. After you can do it straight after your 12th standard actually, but you need physics and maths to do the flying course, yeah, and to get your commercial license. So really, you can just do 12 standard and go straight for your flying course. Huh? And about a year. And if you're saying professional courses in terms, yeah, there's so many other courses. In fact, back home, I think we have even a BSc course also. So you can get your bachelor's also in aviation. So things like that in the US also they have a whole lot of courses which you can do. And if you want to do a ground job or if you want to be in this field, you can do things like that. For me, I did my course. I became a flight instructor with the flying school over there. So I taught flying for about 2 years over there in the US. And then I came back home and I got my first job. I didn't have a job for 2 years because it was around the time of 9/11 at that time, what happened in the US. So there was a little bit of a slump at that time. So I had to wait about 2 years till I could get my first job. So I was doing a ground job in the meantime, and I got my first break in 2003. Yeah.
Wow. So that big break. So that in 2003 was like the big break of your career.
That was, yeah, I mean, the starting of, the flight career. So I got a job with Aiken Airways, which I don't know whether you all have heard of it, but Ed Aiken was there in those days. It was a low cost airline. And they had bought the Airbus 320 aircraft at that point of time. So that's when I joined them, and then they sent us to France for the course. So it took about 2 months for the course over there, and we did the course over there in France, and then we came back, and then we started flying.
Yes. So just to follow up with this question, which institute did you get your certification from, and which are the best institutes available in Mumbai and Qatar to get your training certification? It may be just in India or out of India too. Could you please help?
If I mean somebody wants to do the flying course, I would suggest them to go somewhere outside and do it. Back home, we do have a few flying clubs. Mumbai Flying Club is there too, but because it is very, very small, the club over there, and it takes very long to do the same course which you would do somewhere in Spain or in the States, US, it would be taking about 3 years back home, whereas the same thing you can do it in the US maybe in just about a year's time. So, and the cost would be around the same also. So I would advise somebody to go somewhere else and do the course, yeah, and it will be much faster. And then you just need to come back and you need to give a conversion test and to get your license from at home. Qatar also has only one flying club over here because it's a small place over here, but it is a little bit expensive over here. So it's not the best place to come in to learn flying. Yeah, but the US or Australia also, they have schools over there, and there are some good schools in the US. Flight Academy is one of the big schools over there in the US. So they are one of the top ranked schools over there in the US. So the options are there. You have to see what suits your cost and the time frame also, So accordingly, you can plan it and do it.
Yeah, so that was a key information you shared about time to study this course. So, which institution did you do your from?
Yeah, so I did my flying course from Flight Academy itself in the US, yeah, and in Houston. So I was over there. So I finished in about a year's time over there with my course. And then I did the flight instructor course, which just takes about a month to do. And then you can start to teach flying also. The school also, they give you the opportunity to build your hours and the experience. So that's what I did over there in the US. But before I went to the US, I did a 3-month ground school course at the Bombay Flying Club. So I did that. I appeared for my exams back home, and then I went to the US to do my flying course. Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, so that was really important information you
Right.
shared with us because to choose the right institutes to will help you a lot in this career. So how many flying hours do you need to actually achieve this before hitting the actual floor, and how is that tested? Because when you are awarded, I mean, when you're rewarded a flying license, after how many years do you get rewarded that license?
You just need a 250 hours to get a commercial pilot license, after which you can get a job with a airline. So that's all you need actually. So the course will take about a year's time. 250 hours is what you need in these small planes. And then when you get a job, they will train you for the type of plane that they have. So if they have a Boeing aircraft, then they'll send you for the Boeing course. So that's when you learn the Boeing plane or whatever type of plane they have. So that's what you do. Mhm.
Right, so that. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Captain Ranveer, I believe
Yeah, no, sir. No,
a
sir.
pilot since a long time now. What do you think? How do you think this career has evolved? Where was it when you started, and how much has it changed now? As already you mentioned that they were not so strict on the rules and regulations back then. But how do you think it has evolved overall?
Yeah, I think from the time I started flying, like I said, I mean, they were not so strict on the rules and regulations. Now they have become a little bit more strict about all these things. Discipline is again one thing which was not there in the past. So the crashes were more actually that happened in the past, which is much, much less right now. Though you still do hear of some planes times. But of course, there's so many factors which go into it. So, but I think in terms of discipline, if you're in a good place, good airline, they have planned things out well for you, and they want you to perform in a specific way. So that's what has changed actually. I mean, first you could do whatever you feel like. Like I myself have had my kids on board the plane who have sat over there in the flight deck with me. But now I can't. I mean, I can't be doing that now for sure. Because they are quite strict about it. So that's what has changed a lot, I think. In terms of flying, it's the same. I think we were flying at that time. We're flying now also, so it's all the same. The rest is all the same. I think. Nothing much has changed.
Yes, sir, because mainly the rules and regulations have
Right.
evolved over
Yeah.
time.
Exactly. Hmm.
So how many do you keep studying and updating yourself with different courses even after you're a certified licensed pilot? Or are there any general courses or your for your from your airline who works with you? Does the airline need to train you even after you're certified? Do you need to keep doing these courses?
Yeah, we need to do courses all the time. So you're with the books. I mean, throughout actually, because it's things are changing all the time. With the planes also, with technology, they come up with new things. And in terms of courses, yes, we are checked twice a year, where we need to go into the simulators, and that's where we practice all the things that go wrong in the plane. So we go for 2 days. So it's like 4 days a year. So it'll be once in 6 months. We need to go and practice it, and we are checked out for that. And so that's like a test for us, which we need to clear. So and theory courses are sent all the time to us. So we need to keep doing that. There are specific months in which we get the courses, and we need to do it by, like, say, in like a few weeks' time, and send it back to them. So yeah, we are being checked all the time. We have one flight check once a year also, where the examiner will come and sit with us and observe us if we are doing everything okay as per our procedures.
Right, so the work never stops. You need to
No,
keep
no, it's
hard
non-stop. It's non-stop. Yeah, it's non-stop.
learning. You
Yeah,
need to keep learning even when you have your life.
right.
So what different types and forms of airbuses or aircrafts do you know about, and what purpose do they serve? Any different purpose every aircraft serves, and also can you throw some light on a commercial aircraft, or I mean on a commercial um, pilot or an Air Force pilot? How what's the difference?
Air Force pilot, I mean, I don't know much about it, but yes, of course, it is very tough to get into it, first of all, because they are quite strict about your physical size also and your health also. So, of course, that's the first step you need to clear with them also, the Air Force pilot, because their planes are quite small. You need to fit into those planes. So at times, if you're, I mean, too tall also, it might not be good for them. So you have to check that first. The eyesight also, they are a little bit more strict about that, things like that. And the Air Force, of course, if you join them, then you need to sign a bond with them and stay with them for maybe, I think, maybe 10 or 12 years at least, because they train you for free over there. And commercially, of course, you get paid a little bit less over there. And but of course, the perks are more over there with the Air Force. Yeah? And from our side, Airbus and Boeing are the main planes which we have. So both the planes I have flown now. So I mean, they both are nice crafts to fly. Very, very good aircrafts to fly. And commercially, they are good. I mean, so we have I've flown the Airbus 320, 330, and the Boeing 777 is what I'm flying right now.
Yes, sir. So I think my next question, we all in the audience must have heard this word, but we must not go it like into depth about it. So Captain Ranveer, can you please define the sorry, Captain Ranveer, can you please explain to all of us what is aerodynamics and what purpose does it serve, and how is aeronautics different from aerodynamics?
Aerodynamics is to do with the plane flying. So it's basically your lift, weight, thrust, and drag. These are the four forces that you have which make the plane fly, right? So the lift is created by the wing, of course, and the thrust is created by the engines of the plane, which you get the thrust from there. And the drag and the weight, of course, is what is the forces, the wind, and the weight of the plane that you have. So that's aerodynamics is this, which you will learn a lot into depth about it when you join the course and you start flying. You know, differences in the pressure of and the wind factors and all those things. And aeronautics is basically to do with planes and whatever how they're made and things like that. So it's more to do with the technical side of it. That's what it is about.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for throwing light on what is aerodynamics and what is aeronautics. So this is my last question from my side, and then there'll be a game, and then it's open
Yeah. Okay.
to the audience. So the last question is, how does the pilot navigate the aircraft to reach the destination? Because most times, if the system has some glitch issue? How do you?
Usually, the computers always have backup, always, backup is there. And of course, we have our charts also always on board. We have all the charts on board. So the computers basically do the job for us. And of course, if those fail, then you have to go back to the basics of flying, where you see the chart and then you have to plot your way through and find your way through. The air traffic control also can be of great help to you in this case, because they have you on their screens over there. So they will be able to help you and guide you to the way you want to go. So that's how we do it actually.
That's so interesting to know that you have backups and.
Oh yeah, they're always that. Backups are always there.
So we have a game for the audience and you. So the game's name is Guess the Aircraft.
Okay.
So I'll be showing pictures to the audience and Captain Ranveer, and two of them will be open for the audience. If the audience can't say the what's the name of the flight, I will give a hint. And if the audience is still not able to say it, Captain Ranveer will obviously be the best person here to answer the question. So I'm just gonna share my screen. Yeah, so the first one is for the audience. Audience, if you know what this plane is, raise your hand and I'll mute you, or please put it in the chat. Okay, so actually don't raise your hand, just put it in the chat. That'll be great. And if the audience is not able to answer, I'll be giving you a hint.
I think you have the answer already by somebody. Give the
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, that's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct. Custard answered that first. It's the Boeing 747. Am I correct, sir?
Yes, he is correct. Yeah, he is correct.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much for answering that, Custard. So this one is for Captain Ranveer. So audience, please don't answer it. Captain Ranveer will be the one helping us out with this picture.
Antonov, yeah, this one.
Yes,
Antonov.
this is right. This is Antonov and Av 124. That's
1, 1, 2, 4. Yeah.
So this is again for Captain Ranveer. So which plane is this?
I think you have the answer by Kostov. I think wants to become a pilot. I think, huh?
Yeah, Custard, your
Kostov,
answer.
I think Kostov has all the answers. He has all the answers.
So this is the Airbus Beluga. So this
Ever.
plane, it is named resembles to the young whale and beluga. And I'll move to the next one. This is for the audience again. So audience, please put it in the chat. Which one is this? Yes, that's
Gandisha.
that's Boeing 777. I think
That's the one I'm flying right now. Yeah. That's the one I'm flying right now.
all of us are really updated with all of this, and we have many aspiring pilots here.
That's good to see. It is very nice to see that.
So that's the end of my game. And now I would like to open the floor up to all the audience. Any questions you have? Some of you have also messaged it to me. So please raise your hand and I'll be giving everyone a chance here. Yes, so Disha, you have a question?
Yes. Firstly, very good evening to Kabir and Captain Ranveer.
Thank
My
you.
very first question is, without having any support financially, how much does it cost approximately to become a captain or say a first officer?
Okay, yeah, it is a little bit expensive. Yeah. Um, okay.
Okay, and
Yeah, cost
yeah,
wise, it is a little bit expensive. To do your commercial pilot license, it would cost you right now. I just had a friend who has sent his son for the course to Spain. So he told me the cost is right now about 60,000 euros. So in terms of rupees, I think it'd be about I don't know times 80 or so maybe. Yeah. So it is a little bit expensive, the course. And then once you get a job, then they make you sign a bond for 3 or 5 years. They take care of the cost for the type of plane that they have. So basically, you will be in a bond with them for 3 or 5 years, and they will pay for the cost for that type of plane, that you have. So yeah, for the initial course, yes, it would be that much, for a year's course, it would cost you that much, right?
Okay, and one more question, like being a pilot, sometimes you have to fly from one place to another and be away from the family for say a month or so. So does this affect the relationship that you share with your friends and family? Any negative impacts that this carries with itself?
Negative impacts are there, of course, but of course, I mean, it depends what kind of flying you're doing. So, I mean, all these years I was flying the Airbus 320, where the flights were not so long. So you don't tend to go out for that long, maybe just like a few days and you're back home. In some of the flights, yes, you might be out for a week or so, but not for a month. A month is quite a long time. So I would say negatively, I don't think it impacts so much. Maybe it's just a good break for both the sides, maybe sometimes. So it's okay. I mean, I've been with my wife for a while now, so it's
So is
uh,
the aviation industry very strict with respect to physical parameters such as height, weight, eyesight, hearing, and everything?
yes, they are strict about it. You have to be the eyesight, like I said. I mean, they are not so strict now about that. But about yes, the height and weight, yes, you have to keep your height and I mean your weight in check. And once a year, you need to go for a checkup, and you need to clear that check. So most of the time, we just about a month or 2 months from that date, we tend to get fitter and we go for the checkup. And but yes, I mean yes, you need to be fit because of the sleep patterns like we spoke about and things like that, and the time zones. So yes, it is important, and also the kind of food you have because you're flying so much. The flight food is not the best food you get. So and you tend to eat out a lot more because you're flying out a lot. So yes, you have to keep a check on all these things for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Captain.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much
Thank you.
for asking such insightful questions. I think we should move on to the next a person who wants to ask. Before that, I just got a question by one of the viewers. The question is, do you have to be good in any specific subject to go through the course, or you have to pursue science as a stream?
Yes, you do have to, like I said, physics and maths is compulsory to start the course at least. You have to have your 12th standard with physics and maths. So that's a must to get your commercial license. And I would say, yeah, maths does play an important role uh, in this field. Physics also to some extent, but I think more of maths. I think because there are a lot of things that go on, in terms of numbers, plus. So you should be good at that actually. And it's important to have good situational awareness in this field, and it's important to be able to mix around with all kinds of people. Like over here, where I'm flying, we have people nationalities. I think there are about 140 or something of that sort with our line over here. So every single day we have a crew with maybe 5 or 10 different types of nationalities. So you got to adjust and blend with them. So these are the important things, what one needs to look into.
Thank you so much for answering that question. So, I think the next question, Arav has been raising his hand for a long time. So, Arav, please ask your questions.
Hello, sir. My name is Arut C. and I'm logging from Prabha Devi. So, Ranveer, can you please tell us some of the stories of your career or where there was some ups and downs And sometimes there was a phase where you could didn't anymore. Or when your heart would say that like I cannot do this, or maybe I'm not I can't, I'm not ready to do this. Was there any part of you like was afraid of this?
Arav, sorry to interrupt you, but your voice was
It's not
very
very clear.
breaking. I don't think.
Yeah, it's not very clear what he's asking, but I think he's trying to ask if there have been any ups and downs, maybe, or if there have been any instances when things have not gone the way you want it to go. Maybe I'm not sure. Or if you can
I'll
type
just
it out, yeah. If you can just
um, ask him.
type it out. Hmm.
Yeah, Arav, you can either type it out or you can ask it once more if you want.
Can you hear me now?
Breaking up, right? A little bit. It's breaking up.
Now? Well, I'll just in the chat box.
Yeah, but I think he was trying to ask that if there are times when you think that you can't do it, and but when you're flying a plane, really you don't have the option to think that way. If you see in the Hudson River case where he put the plane down in the Hudson River, you all must have seen that case, of JetBlue in the US. So it's the resilience to bounce back, basically. So that's what you need to have in this field. You have to be positive at all times, and you should be sure and you should think, yes, that you can do it, for sure. That's what I mean. He did at that point of time. He found a way out of it, and he saved them all the lives over there on board. That's the important thing. And of course, you have to work as a team with the entire crew. That's also a very important factor. The first officer sometimes might be seeing like a little bit more than what you are seeing at that point of time. So it's important to trust them and to work as a team. That's when you can really solve the problem, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to ask that, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
Arav, were you trying to ask the same question? Can you please? Yes, I think he's put it in the chat.
Hmm.
So it says, can you please tell us some stories of your career? Were there some ups and downs sometimes? Was there a phase where you thought you couldn't do it anymore? We would be delighted to know some inspiring stories of yours.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the first time, I mean, when I came back from the US, once I did my course and I lived over there for a few years and came back, 9/11 happened and there were no jobs at that time. But still, you have to have the faith that, and you have to you have to work hard towards it and have faith in God, of course, and that it will come for sure. It will come. So the patience has to be there. It's a tough phase, of course. Another phase was when Kingfisher closed down. At that time, things were not too good for us. But of course, I got a job. I didn't have to wait. But yeah, there were some of my friends who had to wait a bit to find a job. And COVID-19 also was a case, where like a few of us, in fact, I myself, in December, we got redundant from here, and I stayed back for the school for my kids for 3 months. And one day before I was supposed to leave, we got a call back. So, and they asked us to join back. So you have to have faith, of course, and the patience, obviously. So yeah, that's what it is. You have to. I would. That's all I have actually. And any part of okay, let me see what he's asking. Yeah.
Uh,
I don't think so. I mean, I was keen. I think when I was in the 8th or 9th grade in school, that's when I had decided I want to become a pilot. My parents didn't want me to go straight after my 12th standard. So actually, I finished my computer engineering and I did the 4-year course. I did that. And after that, I went for my flying course. But even while I was doing my course for 4 years, I knew at the back of my mind that I wanted to be a pilot. So I don't think at some stage I gave up on my dream. So I think if you have a dream and if you dream of it, I'm sure you can achieve if you work hard towards it. You will be successful for sure. Mm.
Yes. Thank you so much for answering that question. I think we should move in the next. I think Vedant, you have a question. Thank you so much for waiting for such a long time.
Hi. So, after I want to ask you, which destination you go to? Pilot?
Vedant, can you please repeat? It will be great.
Which destination you go to? Which place do you drive? Which place do you drive?
Which planes do I fly?
Yeah.
Yeah, right now I'm flying the Boeing 777. Boeing 777. I think it was the last flight which we saw plane in the
Where do
twin.
you go? Where do you go?
Where do we go? We go all over the world with that aircraft because we have passenger and cargo planes both. So we fly a lot to the US, we fly a lot to Australia. Tomorrow morning, I am flying to Johannesburg, South
Where?
Africa. Yeah. So I'll be going there. Uh,
Which butter do you do? Which butter are there? Which butter are there? Your flyer, so cockpit.
I didn't get that part, what he said. Hmm.
And are you sidewalk?
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for that question, Vedant. I think the next question, Kanan had a question. Kanan, are you there? Because I can't see. Uh, okay, I guess he got logged off. When he comes back, I'll take his question. Kaustubh has been waiting to ask a second question. So, Kaustubh, you can ask.
Yes, sir. My second question is that, like in most of the documentaries and all, I've seen that pilots get out of the flying school with like 6-digit depth, and then as everyone knows that the flying school costs a lot. So can you say like what's the average salary, and then like what are the efficient methods to tackle this depth? Like there are like many people I've heard they have stacked shelves and then they have worked a lot in part-time jobs and all to recover the debt, like when they become a pilot and all that. So can you like say what's the average loan a person has to take for flying school, and then like a more efficient ways to tackle this?
Yeah, this thing you can basically, if you take a loan and pay for the flying course, then of course you have to pay back the loan to the bank or whoever you take the loan from till you get a job. Uh, it depends on your financial status. Basically, it is an expensive field, and to do the course. Salaries, if you see, yeah, it's okay. When you start flying, you do get paid well. So it should not be an issue to pay back your loan once you have the job and to get back, to pay back the loan at least, yeah. So in that sense, it will be okay. But of course, if you don't have a job, then to pay back the loan, it does get a little bit tough, even with a small job or part-time job. So I would say if you really want to do it, yes. And if you're going to stretch yourself too much, and if you're not sure whether you'll be able to pay back the loan, then of course the risk is there a little bit. Obviously, maybe you might have to wait for a year or 2 years for a job. So that might be an issue over there. Hmm?
Right, sir. So, the last question is by Prashant Uncle. I think he asked it quite a long back and I missed it. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So he asks, how many hours flying experience is required to become a commercial pilot?
Commercial pilot, like I said, straight from the school, 250 hours is what you need to get the commercial pilot license. So in about a year's time, you can have the license. And some people, they come straight out of school and you can get a job straight away. So 250 is the minimum hours you need. And usually about 3 to 4,000 hours before you can become from a first officer to a captain. You need about 3 or 4,000 hours before you can jump from the right seat to the left seat to become a captain.
Thank you so much for asking the question, Prashant Uncle, and thank you so much for answering it, Captain
No
Ranveer.
worries.
So I think,
And I think there's a question over there about the plane crashes.
oh yeah,
I was asked a question. No offense, of course. It is riskier at times to drive a car than to fly a plane, you know. So there are more accidents on the road than what we see flying an aircraft. So I don't think that should cross your mind, you know, or be scared, you know, that to fly. So it should not be a factor. If you want to do the course and if you want to be a pilot, there should be no fear, you know, to fly. Mm.
right, sir. So I can't thank you enough for allowing us your precious time and to come here. It's
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so
benefiting
much.
many of us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me over, and I hope like a few of you might change your mind or might choose this field and be a pilot someday.
So,
Mm.
can I have everyone here to switch on their cameras? And sir, can your family also come for a group picture? It would be great if they
Yeah,
can.
sure. Okay, I'll just call them. 1 second. I'll just tell them.
Everyone, please switch on your cameras if you can for a group picture. It would be great. Please switch on your cameras, everyone here. Please try to. Please switch on your cameras, everyone, please. It would just a group picture, a quick group. Thank you.
Come.
Please switch on your camera, everyone here. Just a few of you.
Come here.
Hello.
That's my son Krish, Kyra, and my wife Tina. Mm.
Ginger.
Hi. So I think we should take a group picture. 3, 2, 1. Everyone smile, give a thumbs up, a reaction. Yes, just one more. Thank you so much, everyone here.
Thank you, Kabir.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you, Kabir.
So, what a smooth event it was. We got to know all about aircraft, pilots, Captain Ranveer's experiences, and most importantly, not to forget, we got introduced and understood yet another profession to help choose our career. So let's turn off the ignition to this flight and have a great evening. A big thank you to Captain Ranveer for joining us today at Inspiring Stories and allowing us an opportunity to know more about very many experiences and elements involved in being a pilot and pursuing it as a career. And not to forget, thank you, guests, for marking your presence. It's a great support to this initiative promoting sustainable development goal for quality education. And our next event is lined up for September. Please don't leave the WhatsApp group. You will have more updates coming your way about our upcoming events. And do follow us on Instagram on @insas stories. Till then, ciao. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Captain Ranveer.
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you. Wish
Bye.
you all the best. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Captain. Thank you. Bye,